Hey, how's it going? It's Yikhai Wong here, and in this video, I'm gonna talk about 3 ways to grow your detailing business. Right? So if you take business growth as a concept, and if you boil it down, and if you boil down to the bare bones, so what really is like there's only 3 ways to actually grow a business. And you might think like, how come there's only three? There's so many ways to actually grow a business. But if you look at it and what it is, really like there are only 3 things. And they might seem a little bit simple, but when you actually start executing it, you will find it's actually like easier said than done. So all right, I want to get let's get right into it. So the first point of growing your business is increase your price. Right? How do you increase your price? Now, who doesn't want to charge more, and who doesn't want to get paid more doing the same things that they are doing? It all comes down to how do you actually market yourself and position yourself in the market, and actually knowing how to convey that value, because pricing and money, it's all tied into value. The more value that you provide, the higher price that you can charge. So more value, higher price, right? So you want to really think about your value here for a second, because I know detailers, they like to say like, oh, I'm charging like 40 bucks an hour, 50 bucks an hour, 60 bucks an hour, 100 bucks an hour. Those things are kind of cool, but it's kind of like, if you put it into perspective, it's kind of a little bit selfish, because we are not thinking from a customer standpoint of a value. So to really increase your price, the first thing you have to increase is value, and you want to price and package things based on value. So because once you can do that, you can really easily increase your price by a lot, right? So a good way to think about it, let's take full detail for an example, right? I really hate this term, like this term, full detail and detail in general. It has been, the term has been watered down so many times and doesn't have like that value anymore. So how do you take full detail and really to make it seem really valuable and people will pay for it? Because full detail, it really means so many different things to a lot of people. Right? Some people are like a wash and wax and a vac. That's a full detail, right? And then on the other extreme, a full detail means a full correction and making sure the paint is spotless, and then like a coating on top of it, PPF, all that kind of stuff. That's a full detail, right? So full detail really means different things to different people, right? So if you take full detail as just it is, there is no value. Your value, you have to define the value separately, right? So how do you define the value for it? Just a really good example, if someone gives you a call to get their full detail done, you have to figure it out. What do they mean by getting a full detail? Why do they want to get it done? Ask the question why they want to get it done. And then you then cater, and then you then convey your value to exactly what they want, and so that way more value equals to higher price. So example, if someone give you a call and they want to get full detail done, and you find out the reason why is because they want to sell their car, and they want to fetch a higher price for their cars, right? So let's take like a Mercedes C-Class for an example, and if that person want to sell it for 30 grand, right? 30 grand. That is his that is what he wants to sell at. Then the value of a full detail, they can after getting it done, they can position their cars in the market to a higher price point, and they can really raise their price to 35 grand, right? A 5K increase. After, and the reason is because he get a pre-sale detail done, right? After they get a pre-sale done, like it looks really good. It looks like the car has been taken care of, and they can position their cars in the market for 35 grand instead of 30 grand, right? So the value here is really 5 grand. And then like if you position your offer, your pre-sale detail properly as this 5K proposition, that's when you can start charging full detail for 500 bucks, like a thousand bucks, right? So if the customer would know, guaranteed would know, if the price can increase from 30 grand to 35 grand, a 5K increase. Now, charging a grand for your pre-sale detail, it suddenly becomes a no-brainer, right? So it's all about value proposition. The more value you have, the higher price you can charge. So you really want to, the first part of growing your business is basically you want to increase your price, right? And one thing I want to add is like, this is what I call it the awful middle ground. Like, you don't ever want to charge, because I hear this all the time. Oh, I don't want it to be too cheap and I don't want it to be too expensive. I want it to be fair for everyone else. Well, in the perfect world, like that will make sense, but in the real world, it doesn't really work. So it goes like this. On one end, they have cheap, and on the other end, they have expensive, most expensive, right? So like example, like a $50 full detail to $5,000, right? And dealers, what they do is they always position themselves over here, right? I don't want myself to be too expensive. I don't want it to be too cheap, and you are basically stuck here. Can you see why that's bad? Because there's no adversity. You are too normal. You are just like every other detailer that is doing the same thing. So you are really in the middle, and you become a commodity, right? You don't have the edge. You don't have the market's edge of being the most expensive, because once you raise your price to $5,000 for a proper detail, people would respect you, right? People will know that you provide really good quality work, and you are the only guy that charge $5,000 in your city. There will be people paying for that for sure, right? They are plane tickets. They are like $20,000, right? And they are plane tickets that is like $200. There are still people paying the $20,000 plane tickets, right? So you don't ever want to position yourself as the middle of this. Is what I call it the awful middle ground, because you are just boring. You are straight up normal, just like every other details, and competing for prices, right? So if you are not the most expensive, this one advice that I got a long time ago is like, if you are not the most expensive, you gotta be the cheapest. If you're not the cheapest, you gotta be the most expensive. You don't ever want to land on this awful middle ground, because this gets you nowhere. This gets you in interior jobs, filthy interior jobs. It get this position right here. It gets you commodity, right? It gets you competing with other people, right? So if you can't land the most expensive, at least move your spectrum to somewhere around here, where it's like $1,000 to like $3,000 for a correction and coding, and I think that is like a sweet spot to be. And once you start getting the PPM and all that kind of stuff, and that's when you can start moving to like $5,000 to like $10,000, $20,000 deals, right? And that's where you want to be, right? So if you're not the cheapest, you better like be the most expensive. I don't ever want you to be right in the middle, like awful part. It's an awful place to be, right? Okay, so that is basically the first point, is you want to increase your freaking price. And that's the first way to grow a business. The second way to grow a business is sell to current customers. Existing, current customers. All right? So for detailers that I work with, the second week I get them to sell to their existing current customers, and I don't get them to sell to new people. And the reason for that is, your customers that has already booked with you before, there's already a trust being built with you, right? There's already a trust being built that they know who you are, and they know like what you do, and all you're gonna do is basically to convey the value to your current customers, and you can basically increase your price. So why do you want to go the hard way when you can go the easy route to sell to current customers first? And usually people, they get a lot of results, like, because in the program when I work with detailers, first I get them to set their foundations, set their prices, all that kind of stuff. Second week we go straight to selling, because the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest way to get more sales this week, your current customers, or like the current people that basically inquired you before, because the trust is already being built and it's already there. So why would you go and find someone that don't even know who you are? you need to spend a lot of time convincing them to get their cars booked in with you, when you can just go to your existing current customers and sell to them, right? That is why we built out a email list, and then we build out our like social media, and we build out our like branding per se, to basically to store all of this, and we can just keep selling that list. And some of you guys might have known that I basically send out my email marketing once every week or once every 2 weeks. Some of you guys might receive it, and the reason for that is because I know that I already have a trust being built with you guys, and it's actually a lot easier to sell to people in my email list than to sell someone that have never heard of me before. So the second way is to sell to existing current customers, and then you can even get recurring customers. One of my customers, he has a G6063 that he comes in every 2 weeks for a wash, right? It's $150 job, and it's just a basic wash on the outside. And he really value a clean car, right? And I really position myself like, people can charge $30 for a wash on his car, but he paid me $150 just for a basic wash. It takes my team about less than an hour to do, so it's pretty good, right? We have a few of those as well. So sell to existing and current customers and get them to recurring or whatever it is, or whatever that works for you, right? And the third way to grow a business is to get new customers. Yeah, that's one rule that I have, right? So the lifeblood of my business is customers, my clients. That's the blood of my business. That's the one thing before my team, before my everything. The one thing that I really have to the one thing that I care the most, everything in this world, is my customers. Customers that actually pay me to detail their cars or work with me. That's the people that I care about the most, because I know that they are the customers, is the lifeblood of my business. Without customers, all of this wouldn't exist, right? Generating leads, closing leads, that is getting new customers, right? So we want to make this, we want to systemize and refine this as whole and refined as possible, so we know in and out, rinse and repeat, how to actually influence it, how much do I need to spend to acquire a new customer, so I can influence that number, so I can really. So it's like, pulling the lever, and your business will grow, is to get new customers. And a lot of people in this group, or if you are not in our Facebook group, join our Facebook group, right? And basically, right? So like, you guys will know, getting new customers is easier said than done. It's freaking hard, right? There's so many ways to get new customers. There's networking, there's like finding people, building relationships with other people, there's like running ads. There's so many ways to basically get new customers. And the first point you have to know is, you need to know who your ideal customer is. Like, to get new customers, if you want to really get into the lead generation part, you need to know exactly who your customer is, right? If you don't know who your customer is, you better work on knowing who they are, because once you know who they are, it's really easy to get them, right? So once you know your customers, it's really easy to basically find out who your customer is, influence them, find them where they hang out, and really to position yourself to become your market's go-to detailer, right? So that's basically it. That's basically like the 3 ways to grow business. The first is to increase your price. Second is to sell to existing or current customers, and the third is to get new customers. All right. So this is my first ever video. So I do apologize. My cat is hanging around on the camera, so you want to see like his tail like waving a little bit. Yeah. So just let me know what you think about this video. Give me any suggestions of what kind of videos that you want me to make in the future, and I'll try to make them every week. Right? Thanks everyone, and hope you guys had a great week.